Trending with the Tribune is your leading statewide source for unforgettable news about African Americans and other communities of color. We are a quarter of a century old and serve the areas of Knoxville, Jackson, Chattanooga, and Memphis. Brought to you by the Tennessee Tribune newspaper, published weekly by the Tennessee Tribune Publishing Company. Here's another edition of Trending with the Tribune, hosted by Miss June. My special guest today is two-time councilwoman Sheri Weiner. Now, she's a doctor of audiology, a graduate of the University of Tennessee, and she's lived in Nashville for well over 30-some odd years. Now, she's been a leader in the public and private sector throughout her entire career. Now, she's currently our acting vice mayor for the city of Nashville. Welcome to Trending with the Tribune.
Thank you.
So great to see you. Well, most people may not be familiar with the position of vice mayor, so I do want to let the community know that this position serves as the presiding officer of the Metro Council, and should something happen to the mayor, the vice mayor will assume those duties and responsibilities. Now, the vice mayor also has a vote, but if I'm not mistaken, that vote is only for a tiebreaker.
That's right.
Okay, just wanted to make sure the community is aware of that. Well, let's get into it. I understand that community engagement is high on your list.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, how will you get the community engaged? I know that you want the community's voices to be heard, and if you are elected, how will you engage the community before key decisions are made?
So I have a track record of doing just that. I don't think that we need to be having community meetings to inform. We need to have community meetings to collaborate and to get people involved. So during my 2 terms so far on the council, what I have done in my own community is I've engaged surveys. I have engaged community meetings before legislation's ever filed, because I want to get ideas from other people, because the more people you bring together, the more collective idea you can get. And so I think it's important that we engage as many people as possible when we have potential opportunities in front of us.
So decisions that have the potential to affect, say for example, the lifestyles of the Davidson County residents, they will have an opportunity to participate, maybe town hall meetings or see flyers, email blasts.
Well, actually, I think it makes sense for us to go out into the community as a council body and go into the various districts and sit down with the constituents and listen and let them come to us and say, this is what we think on a myriad of subjects. For example, last year when we had the whole issue starting surrounding the fairgrounds and the potential to bring MLS to the fairgrounds, we went to the fairgrounds and held a public hearing and had everybody, we had hundreds of people that came, and they had the opportunity to share with us their thoughts, pro and con, about the issue. In the council, starting this past Tuesday night, I implemented it's as a result of the Transparency Committee. And what we did is we've offered a public engagement process right during the meeting. And so anybody can come speak to the council for a period of time during that second meeting of the month between now and December, so that we can kind of do a test to see how it's going to work. And they can talk to us about anything, whether it's on the agenda or not. And then in addition to that, we've also got the opportunity for folks to email us, call us, and engage us that way too. So it's really a mixed bag of ways that people can get involved.
Okay. Now, I understand that the role of public education in Davidson County, some people think it's going to the left, others think it's going to the right. With your role, what do you envision doing to help improve public education?
So we have an education committee that's made up of council members, and I would like to see them take the lead of bringing educators and the community together in a collaborative way. And what I mean by that, I know we have guidelines that teachers need to follow and that the school board is dictated to by feds and state. But we really need to take that framework and sit down together and listen to where the parents feel like there are holes, where their kids may be falling through the crack. We need to look at summer engagement of those kids that may not be able to engage in the opportunity now program? What about the younger children? How can we engage them actively? Because you don't want to let that time slip away, especially with the younger children, where that's the foundation, as you well know, for language development. And language development is the key to greater thought process. And so if we can collaborate with the parents and the school and the community in a more robust way, I think the kids are going to get better foundation, and in the long run, it'll give us better results.
Okay. Now, in regards to results, let's look at long-range solutions in regards to the budget of Metro. What does that look like, even if it's just a snapshot?
I have to say that it's a several-pronged approach. So you have the issue of the way we vet incentives. You have the issue of the amount of time and the information that we get insofar as managing the annual budget. Then we have the capital improvements budget and the capital spending plan. So we have predominantly 4 primary areas insofar as our duty of care for the taxpayer. And if you look at each of those entities, they have not changed, other than maybe the CIB, they have not changed in 50 years. So for example, our budget is our process is based on a process from 50 years ago when the budget was 10 pages. And now that budget is hundreds of pages long. So we need more time to go through it, and we need a financial analyst in the council office that can help us manage that volume of information. That's the first thing. The second thing, if you look at how we vet incentive proposals, that's really so archaic because we don't get things like the inventory. We have limited time to vet those proposals, and we don't even get a cost-benefit analysis. All those things need to change.
Now, who's supposed to give those things to you if you say you don't get them?
Well, there's no hard and fast rule about the materials that we're supposed to get. Everything that we get comes from the finance department and the economic and community development group, which is within the mayor's office and in the finance department. Now, that's not to take anything away from them, because I know that their initiatives are pure. However, we need to be able to take that second look. It's a true government of check and balance. And so while those initiatives may be fabulous in mindset, we don't ever want to have to go back in hindsight and go, why did we do that? We didn't have the information that we needed, maybe, or we didn't have the time that we needed to really vet those proposals.
Okay. Now, I understand that you want to see more stakeholder groups involved in the Metro Council. Now, this is a 2-step question. With these stakeholder groups, where are they going to come from? And is there potential for any of these stakeholders to be perhaps some of your campaign fundraisers?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So let's talk about where they come from first. Where they come from are individuals, advocacy groups for whatever the issue is that we're addressing, and I think providers. Let's take General Hospital as an example. So back in the spring, when they wanted the supplemental appropriation, the negotiation that I was able to help form on the council floor that night included a stakeholder group that I said, the only way we give you X amount of dollars is if you will absolutely agree to participate in a stakeholder group. And we subsequently brought together all of the different hospitals in the area, the different providers that are engaged with General, as well as the administration and the general administration. And so that is a group that's, as we speak, working now to look at the long-term strategy for General Hospital so that we can make sure that we maintain that really important safety net. Insofar as campaign donors, I'm really proud of the fact that my campaign donors come from people of widely varying perspectives. And they don't do it because they want help from me. They do it because they know I'm fair-minded and that I'll bring everybody to the table and give everybody the chance to participate.
Okay. Now, I know that you have a problem. Well, not necessarily a problem. I'll take that back. I understand that, yes, you do accept the fact that, yes, this is the IT city, but it may not be the IT city for everyone. With that being said, how will you work with Mayor Briley's Commission for Minority Business Enterprise for new and existing minority-owned businesses?
So I think the biggest problem that we've got that we need to address head on is procurement. And we all need to have an equal opportunity to benefit from the explosive growth here. To that point, this morning there was a workshop, and it was a way for us to manage the opportunity and to show people here is a partnership opportunity for everybody to benefit. And I want to say there were like 110 some odd participants in that workshop this morning, geared to getting more women and minority owned, especially businesses, involved in the procurement and contracting process.
Now, I want to just focus on minorities,
Yeah.
because in Davidson County, minority-owned businesses is not just on Jefferson Street. And then when you open the door for minorities and women, that can take you away from just the minority issue. So do you think that there will be a fair opportunity for minority-owned businesses outside of procurement? Because not everyone wants to do business with Metro. How can they be successful doing business in Davidson County?
I think that we need to open that opportunity to everybody, and I think that we, quite frankly, as a Metro government, should have the availability, say at the fairgrounds, for example, to have these collaborative workshops so businesses can get to know each other, so business owners can collaborate. I went to the empowerment conference on the luncheon on Saturday, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me to meet other people in the community who may have similar, likes like you and I. I'm an audiologist, you're a speech pathologist, and we found out a few minutes ago that we have like engagement, and there are ways that we can enhance what each of us does. Well, if we didn't have the opportunity to sit down and know each other, we never would have had that opportunity to know that we did.
Right.
And so if Metro government can be the force behind making those opportunities available for people to know each other, I think that that's a win-win for everybody.
That's fair. And lastly, with Mayor Briley's goals and his platform, especially the things that he used to become elected as mayor, how will you support him? And if there are things that perhaps you don't agree with, how will you deal with that? Because I know that the council is all about unification, and the candidates coming on board want to continue that unification. So how will you deal with, hey, I agree with you on some things and don't agree with you on others?
So it's really interesting that when you're in the council body, we have the opportunity, and when Mayor Briley was Vice Mayor Briley, we had the opportunity to agree to disagree. And it wasn't anything that was substantive in terms of our priorities, but maybe more of how to get there. And at the end of the day, you can disagree, but you can respect one another's opinions. And I think that if you have people that come to the table with differing opinions, and if you can talk to each other and with each other instead of at each other, you get a whole lot further. And he and I are both of the opinion that we need stability, that we need to take a deep dive into our finances, that we need to look at what we need and not what would be nice to have, and we need to be very focused in that area. And so fundamentally, we're on the same page.
Okay. And Ms. Weiner, lastly, we'll take a break here because our timer just went off. We've got that. Cue to rotate, retake. And Ms. Weiner, with that being said, now this takes us to affordable housing. Everyone that lives in Nashville, they want to enjoy a good, peaceful life. They want to have the American dream, but affordable housing seems to be evading most people. What are your thoughts and your vision for coming up with measures for affordable housing?
That is such an area of frustration historically for us in the council, and here's why. We have passed some legislation to try to move the needle on affordable housing, only to find out that the state took that authority away from us. And so we have to sit the stakeholders down. I want the activists that are involved, or advocates rather, who are involved in housing, the folks that are involved in needing housing, our firefighters, our police, our hospitality workers. We need everybody at the table, and we need to look at where we can capitalize on the greatest strengths. I, quite frankly, had people from the rental agencies and the rental industry and the development community who had said, let's all sit down together in a room and fix it and figure it out. And I said, well, then we're also going to bring the folks from the state to the table so that we can work collaboratively instead of oppositionally. And so for me, if we set measurable goals that can be accountable, that we can make sure that we see that benchmarks are being met, I think that that's a win-win for everybody. It's the same way as I approach business.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got to turn a failing business around, you set measurable, attainable goals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with affordable housing. And the only way that you get those things done is by bringing people together to solve the problems.
Okay, well, Ms. Weiner, the election is just around the corner. If there's anything that you would like the community to know that maybe we didn't cover, please let the community know why they should vote for Ms. Weiner and why that would be a winning vote.
So I can use what's happening right in this community right now. If you look at Bordeaux area and Scottsboro area, when you've got other communities, they're getting all these big glitzy buildings and it's looking good for them and they're getting things developed. And then the most recent attempt was to put a waste facility here. I was very proud that I was involved as a leader in helping new Councilmember Hall manage that situation such that we were either going to withdraw it or we were going to give everybody an opportunity to have a public hearing. And in the end, it was a robust decision that really no one in the community close to this wanted anything, and it wasn't really going to even help promote development in the Bordeaux area. It just wasn't. And I'm fortunate that I've got such a good relationship with the council members that live in this area. Several of them have endorsed me, and it's because they know that I've got the background, the experience to come in and help them look at the opportunity and build density, which will then draw business here, and to look at making a collective mixed-use opportunity that's going to give this part of Nashville, which has the lion's share of the property that's available now.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we looking this gift horse in the mouth? Let's do something for everybody up here, which is going to be another win-win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably the best reason is I'm not singularly focused on one area, I look at everybody.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and
Thank
we
you.
look forward to a busy time at the polls.
It'll be.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. This has been another edition of Trending with the Tribune, and I'm your host, June, and my special guest today was Ms. Sheri Weiner, and she is running for Vice Mayor of Davidson County. And until next time, be sure to visit the website. That website is www.tntribune.com. And until next time, bye now. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Trending with the Tribune. To be a guest or advertise, please send your email to sales1501@gmail.com.